Darkwinjax, otherwise known as Dun and Slade or Khaled, is infamously known as League of Legends' most toxic player throughout all time. He's been playing League since Season 1 for over 13 years, and despite being plastered as the most toxic player ever, he's built his own story and brand ever since the early days of League, and we will be exploring his lore in the popular Iceberg meme format. Stage 1 revolves around surface level knowledge regarding Darkwinjax. You'll see lore, information, prominent characters, and memes regarding him that are often found from his streams. The one thing I always do when I want to buy a new game for myself or my friends is that I always go to a website named Instant Gaming, and the reason why is because their prices are super cheap compared to retail prices. You see an archaic old game on Steam on full price, boom, Instant Gaming has it for 90% off. Want to buy a pre-order like Kingdom Come Deliverance, bam, minus 30% off compared to retail price. It's super fast, reliable, and safe, and I mean it really doesn't get better than that. So if you want to buy a game for super cheap and support my work at the same time, use my affiliate link down below in the description or in the comments.
You're blind, you're delusional, you're bad at the game, like you're everything.
8D is an emote frequently used by Darkwinjax and the Darkwinjax community. It's an emoji that depicts an extremely happy face, but it is a bit unique other than the usual XD emoji you will see in League of Legends. 8D is usually depicted with this iconic depiction in Darkwinjax's Twitch chat.
What is that shit about him? I'm not gonna invade, I'm not gonna invade, we will lose that. Okay, so I gank level 2, they both fail, they don't go. Get cat.
Usually when players in League of Legends try to engage in toxic discussion, they tend to write the words "get cancer," which evidently wishes a person to gain the infamous and terrible disease. However, as nlord58 once said in a support ticket, toxicity is negativity in all its forms. And Riot Games' arch nemesis is toxicity after all, which means that players typing "get cancer" would, among other words, be liable to punishment. To bypass this, Darkwinjax uses the words "get candy" as a suitable phrase to say "get cancer." Get candy can be written more subtle when written get and then the candy symbol. If you want to write this in the League of Legends clients, you could just press the Windows key and the dot icon and then find the candy symbol. More often than not, this would help in avoiding punishments from Riot Games by automated systems, although manual reviews would be able to ascertain the context behind the phrase "get candy", especially as it got more and more popular to be used widely by the League community. The phrase "get candy" or "get cancer" is often abbreviated to GC, like GC teammates.
Doesn't matter, you know who I am. You're trying to be funny for the stream.
Being funny for the stream is a phrase used against a person when they are acting funny in an obvious manner that is often considered cringe. Sometimes this phrase is also used in contexts where people are trying to fake rage. And you can also use this phrase in contexts where someone actually rages on you and then you say it and to make them tilt even further. When viewing any content from Darkwinjax, his camera is usually focused on his face, but if one were to actually look at his keyboard position throughout the majority of his streaming career prior to 2023, his keyboard would not actually be positioned on a table, but on his lap as a matter of fact. It is not known why he does this, as the ergonomic benefits are absent, but perhaps this is what he had to work with. These weird keyboard positions would also occur in different streaming environments, such as in this apartment where it would be on the floor and there would be no table at all. Mentality in League of Legends is a huge aspect that matters a lot, some would argue at least, and Darkwinjax capitalizes on this supposed fact by attempting to spread positivity in the Champion Select chat with a handcrafted message. Most of these messages are quite funny considering the way they are typed. Ahmad the Rengar is a popular meme from the Darkwinjax community. Darkwin was in voice call with this top laner named Ahmad the Rengar, and he would leave the game merely because he was lagging, but in reality everyone was lagging, so leaving was unnecessary. This prompted Darkwinjax to act in the following clip, and he also came with the iconic phrase "it's the server and you relog."
Do you have cancer, man? It's the server and you relog? إنك عن جد حيوان.
No, I think now it's fine.
Shut up.
No, that's still shit.
والله إنك حمار. You're a real idiot. You know that, right? You relog and you lose this whole wave عشانك حمار.
But
on your face, you little bitch. You're such a fucking retard. Why are you ruining my game? Why did you go AFK now and you lost top? It's everyone is lagging, you idiot. Everyone. And you think that relogging will fix it?
Kinweb is a prominent member from the Darkwinjax community. He is perhaps one of the most hardworking members in that community, having dedicated a lot of time and effort into nurturing it, such as managing the Discord server, moderating, creating memes, and helping out on other socials. He's also controversial for various reasons depending on which person you talk to. He's considered to be a massive troll at best and a man-child at worst. He has spawned numerous inside jokes within the community, often relating to Romanians and the trollers of Romania. Looking at Darkwinjax's About Me page in his Twitch channel, you can find claims of his achievements written: Listen, Rank 1, Season 2 and Season 3, Season 4 to Season 9, didn't play much, Challenger on 2 of those seasons, Season 10, 700 LP before ban, Season 11 is going to be toxic free on at least one account before the season ends, failed. However, there are no depictions of these achievements and they are very hard to find. Darkwin's Twitter is vibed, and again, nothing was posted on his Twitter as far as I'm concerned, but going by his known account names in high elo and as well as his specific mentions of when he got Challenger is much information to go on. You guys also have to realize that trying to find the archived ranked ladder of before Season 4 is nearly impossible. Furthermore, getting EU West ranked seasons is even harder. Usually the best website for such archives today is a website by the name of League of Records. This website is a blog post that has archived ranked seasons regularly and at some points for each month on several servers. However, it does only go back to 2014, which is Season 4, and for Season 4 specifically, it has only the NA server archived. I found it incredibly hard to narrow down a way to fact check the Rank 1, Season 2 and Season 3, let alone if Darkwinjax played in Season 1 at all and his accomplishments. The only way I saw possible to find information regarding this would be using a method I call user-generated information probing, or UGCIP. This is where you essentially look at posts of users on social media and the content they are creating and probing those posts to attempt to find information that could lead you elsewhere or directly providing the information one seeks. In this instance, it could be someone posting a ranked ladder of Season 2, talking about it on Reddit, and then you could find the information you need from that. The only issues here is that the forums people used between Season 1 and Season 4 primarily was the League of Legends official forums, which are now long defunct, discontinued, and officially lost to the void, and as well as obscure websites like TL.net or the popular forum Reddit. Reddit wasn't used as much as today, but it was still used, you know? So searching the nickname Darkwinjax or Stun and Slade didn't yield that much, but it does always provide some new interesting information or avenues to look at. It was getting a little bit hopeless for me though, as I had tried everything except one method that I knew would be extremely time consuming, and that would be looking at decade-old posts of pro players talking about the rank ladder and their placement in it, such as Magic Felix has done before. However, I managed to eventually see that people use the website's lolking primarily, which is eventually just oldop.gg. I had the idea that one could try to find the lolking account of Darkwinjax in order to probe more information. I managed to find Vizkis' account page, which was Jensen, in hopes of seeing Darkwinjax being in one of his recent matches. That didn't really work, and another website which was also used before to look at rank ladders, just how OPGG does today, is lolsummoners.com. This website is now defunct as well, but if you web archive the /ladders/EU West pages of the website, you can find archives from 2013 to 2014, which is effectively Season 3 and some of Season 4. Looking at various dates on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th pages of those ladders did not yield any information on Darkwinjax or Stun and Slade. I also had plans of using rewind.lol if it could work at all here, but I didn't try it at this point. A day later, I had managed to find this peculiar website named ff.gg through a post on Reddit. This website had archived every season, however that website was also defunct and not operational. There are web archives of the NA ladder easily accessible, but not of the EU West ladder. I had tried to see if there was an EU West ladder archived, and a little trick in mixing I managed to get it working. Lo and behold, you can find that Darkwinjax had at the end of Season 1 of the ranked solo queue managed to get at rank 76 at 729 games, with 396 of them won and 333 lost, meaning a 54% win rate. And ELO was a public thing back in the day, so his ELO at that point was 2223. Trying to find the other ranks is a bit hard, but he definitely was high ranking before. One conclusion we can make for certain is that the internet truly rots. This is a popular meme that many League of Legends players can resonate with. I think it speaks for itself pretty much. If not, that's good on you. Why do you face check? Face check is just another popular meme as well back in the early days of Darkwinjax's Twitch streaming career.
You tilt me, man. You actually like fucking tilt me. It's insane.
Like, it's fun. How can you face check in season 9, man? But why? It's so simple, man. Like, don't do it. I'm tired of losing. I don't want to lose anymore. Can you not face check when we literally see that they're there? Like, obviously they're there. It's fucking infernal, Drake, man. Like, what? I don't want to lose games. Holy fuck, man. Like, shit.
There are a number of iconic memes regarding Darkwinjax and many countless more. These are memes mostly relatable to the average League player, such as him wanting to shout, but he has to be quiet because his family sleeps, the absolute impact a defeat has on a League player, the message you want to give to your fellow teammates but you risk getting punished by Riot, how one truly feels in an everyday conversations when typing haha in capital letters, as we have seen, how Mondays are like, how uttering your aggressive thoughts helps combating tilt, and the list goes on. In recent times, Darkwinjax had the funny idea to cosplay the boss FFS during one of his streams when he played Ramos. He also did this while duo queuing Dantes. And he mainly does this because he just genuinely finds boss as a funny guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but that's fine, you get the way. That's huge. That's huge.
That's a good death. Good death. Good
It's a
death.
good death. That's a good death. Good death. I love these good deaths.
The boss FFS later reacted to this cosplay positively.
Ah, but where are you going, Raccoon? Come here, you noob, come here. Where are you going, Raccoon? Where do you think you're going, Raccoon? Are you invading?
He's not even cosplaying me, what is
But you're
this?
so delusional, Raccoon. Not a good death for the enemy player. Oh, but we're so chilling. First blood on a D1. Kaisa. Sorry, Samira. Lol.
Jamie or Azax is one of the most prominent quote characters you can meet on the Darkwinjax stream. He's a longtime friend of Darkwinjax and he's frequently featured on his stream, usually just talking or discussing with Darkwin about various topics. Jamie met Darkwinjax in the early seasons of League where Jamie was duo queuing with his brother. Darkwin had successfully engaged in an effective psychological warfare that made Jamie's brothers tilt. Jamie had never seen his brother as tilted prior to that, and it was during this time that he and Darkwinjax just talked, and the rest is history. Jamie also goes by the infamous nickname Azox, or rather Psychology Azox, as someone might know all the way back until at least 2012. You can find archival traces of League players complaining about the notorious toxicity of Azox. This was a time where Azox was competing with Freland Lord between rank 1 and rank 2 reportedly. He was playing on the account named Talented Player, whereas Psychology Azox was the one he opted to troll with. The tribunal system eventually sentenced them both and the accounts got banned. Jamie was also involved in more toxicity all the way back in 2009 with his World of Warcraft team Psychology. When participating in the ESL TV Invitationals, his team Psychology had been disqualified after he and 2 other players had played undercover with another team. They had managed to qualify to the finals with both of the teams Azox had played for, and thus got disqualified as they couldn't play the finals against themselves, obviously. Jamie recalls that it was pretty funny since they played the same composition pretty much, and the whole community was arguing about which one was better, not realizing they were both the same teams. For a relatively short period of time, Darkwinjax had a different stream background that basically looked as if he was in the backrooms due to how similar these beige walls are to the pop horror. And with that, you are pretty much introduced to an even deeper stage to Darkwinjax. This stage explores information that is more or less known and are noticed regarding Darkwing, whether it be grim, controversial, or neither of those two. Darkwinjax is observed to win a lot when he has his jacket on while streaming. It is not known why he wears a jacket when streaming sometimes, but this is probably just because he returned home and hasn't taken it off. When he plays with a jacket though, he has allegedly a 90 to 100% win rate. However, this meme has existed for quite some time, for about 13 years at least, all the way back to 2012. He would still wear jackets on stream and this would just give him an advantage due to some unknown cosmological force. Fun fact, in this same Reddit thread advertising his stream, and this is also the same thread where you can find the jacket buff existing all the way back to 2012, you can see that both Nuke Dog and Yamato Cannon was supporting him as they were on the same esports team back then. In mid-September of 2021, Darkwing had duo queue with Duaino, or rather known as Dantes nowadays. Prior to this point, he had frequently used the term rollback in the phrase get rollback, similar to the get candy phrase. It is a nice catchy acronym explained by Darkwinjax in this clip.
What's a rollback?
Ran over by a car.
The frog sound effect is a peculiar sound you can hear, probably stemming from Darkwinjax's web camera microphone. During moments of silence, or just in general, you can hear a frog-esque sound coming from it.
That's a good death.
Hammer time is an inside joke within the Darkwinjax community, where Darkwing had an autism attack one stream and decided to frequently utter the word hammer time poggies. It is not sure why he did that, but probably attributed to an incident with a Jace player and Jace uttering the word hammer time when using his ultimate ability to transform into hammer form.
Hammer time.
The Darkwinjax Duo Agreement, or colloquially known as the Duo Contract, is a contract signed by prospective duo partners with Darkwinjax. It is an agreement made by Jamie back in the 21st of July 2020. It explains the dynamic of how things usually go when duo queuing with Darkwinjax. It reads as follows. This agreement is entered into by and between Darkwinjax, hereafter referred to as DVJ, a toxic player incorporated under the laws of the occupied land of Palestine. This is the country where he comes from, with his main account named Fart Sniffer Andy located at the Summoner's Rift, and DuQ name, a player incorporated under the laws of Uganda located at location for the purpose of preventing unwanted griefing and inting, as well as the purpose of preventing the unauthorized disclosure of the confidential information. The parties agreed to enter into a confidential and mutual DuQ relationship with respect to the disclosure of confidential information and intentional feeding in League of Legends games. Whereas Discord, the DuQ name as well as Darkwinjax will join the, by Darkwinjax provided, Discord server. Thereafter, the duo will accept being blamed and flamed for every little mistake he makes for the rest of the game and future games. Obligations to follow up on calls. Whether Darkwinjax makes a call, DuoQ name is obligated to follow up. If, for whatever reason, DuoQ name is not able to follow up, he is mandatory to provide a detailed explanation and be blasted on Discord thereafter, no matter what the explanation is. Dodging. If Darkwinjax thinks the game is dodge-worthy, DuoQ name is mandatory to dodge the game. DuoQ name has no say in the matter and is forced to dodge, no matter the circumstances. Time periods. The non-inting and griefing provisions of this agreement shall survive the termination of this agreement, and DuoQ name duty to hold confidential information and prevent unwanted inting and griefing until Darkwinjax sends the DuoQ name written notice releasing DuoQ name from this agreement. Relationships. Nothing contained in this agreement shall be deemed to constitute either party a partner, joint venture, or additional animal for any purpose. DuoQ name hereby indemnifies Darkwinjax any and all losses, damages, claims, expenses, and attorney fees incurred or suffered by Darkwinjax as a result of breach of this agreement by DuoQ name. Severability. If a court finds any provisions of this agreement invalid or unenforceable, the remainder of this agreement shall be interpreted so as best to affect the intent of the parties. Integration. This agreement expresses the complete understanding of the parties with respect to the subject matter and supersedes all prior proposals, agreements, representations, and understandings. This agreement cannot be changed, modified, or amended unless such change, modification, or amendment is in writing and agreed upon by both parties. It is suffice to say that this contract agreement, or the agreement in general, was never really used, as far as my knowledge goes, that is. Throughout his time playing League, Darkwing has often sought duo partners, as he firmly believes that playing with a duo lessens the chance of losing a game, since you can either control your duo or play with a good one. As such, he played with many prominent personalities within the League scene, such as, but not limited to, Spareshot, Silence Don't Give a Fuck, Jamie, Hasmad, Kevd, Slaughters, Apocalypse, Evaluna, Kiana, Hare, Fat RL Smurfing, P-Star Zillion, OP Shaco, Brohan, Dethard, Dio, Yamato Cannon, Pinoy, Jensen, We Will Failure, Fabes Demin, Dantes, Inferiorities, Divine, Tent, One Yano, just to name a few. In April of 2021, Darkwing had this dark idea to pay people to dodge a game he deemed to be unwinnable. On the 21st of April 2021, he offered his teammates €3 if they were to dodge, and subsequently he paid it after a teammate did so. This was a short-lived strat, seeing as it required money, which is not something that was growing out of a tree for him. Darkwinjax is actually a pretty good singer, and since he is a devout Muslim, he likes a lot to sing nasheeds, and we can often hear them also being sung by other people on stream, such as from Idris Abkur reciting the Surah Isra, which is the night journey that the Prophet Muhammad takes from Mecca to Jerusalem. And if you don't know, nasheeds are a work of vocal music, similar to hymns, and they are either sung as a cappella or with instruments. Nasheeds usually reference Islamic beliefs, history, religion, and current events, and at other times you have Darkwinjax singing them himself, often from memory. Now, Darkwing also creates other catchy songs that are more related to League, such as a spin-off, the Frere Jacques song.
Don't kill Udyr, he only has goals. You have ult, you have ult. Ahri had ulti, Udyr had no flash, and she didn't ult, and she didn't ult. I'm hard stuck, E1. I am hard stuck.
Chances are, if you ever had Darkwing in a lobby before, he would often type the words enemy, insert champion name, one trick on enemy team. This is a psychological tactic to micromanage your teammates to ban a certain champion you do not want to play against. Darkwing would often convince teammates that he met some sort of a champion one trick in a previous lobby, or saying that they were in a queue. This strategy was highly effective and often used by Darkwing. Sometimes he utilized his duo queue partners to type this for him due to laziness or preoccupation with something, or just that he perceived it to be more effective if they did it. At other times he would tell the UQ partner to type it and then play off on it to make it more convincing in hopes of teammates to ban these champions. That playing off the thing was also an effective method used when asking people to join the Discord. So his duo would send a Discord link and then Darkwing would write, hey, I'm coming in 1 second, which is kind of done to entice people to join the Discord for communication purpose or communication advantage. So with this enemy one trick strategy, Darkwing and the duo queue partner would ban other champions than the supposed one trick on the enemy team, but most teammates did not pay attention to this contradiction, if you will.
Yo, ADC, wanna have Discord? I need to get them on Discord so I can like hold their hands and calm them down. Someone join. Yo, greetings, Summoner.
Calm Discord is a reference to two things. The first reference is that he would often ask teammates to just join Discord for communication purposes. In turn, that would provide an advantage to gain that sweet league points. The other reference is usually done in the midst of a game or at the end of a match. Darkwinjax would most likely have some issues with his teammates or the enemies. Naturally, this would prompt Darkwing to discuss with them, usually over a large amount of text, but in order to circumvent that typing too much, Darkwing would ask them to join Discord. This could develop in a number of ways, humiliating the person, flaming, discussing, flexing match, and you know, the list goes on.
Everyone on the stream to raise the fist! BLM! BLM! Get on your knee! I'm gonna go on my knee! BLM! Kneel down and raise the fist!
The Black Lives Matter movement was, or rather is, a political and social movement and was very relevant during 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. It has often been arguably validly criticized for a fair amount of things, such as some violent riots, being ineffective, polarizing effects on society, the disconnect with marginalized communities, anti-police, and endorsing violence against the police and allegations of mismanagement of funds. Darkwing and Jamie seems to think that the BLM movement was largely a failure, and people adherent of the BLM movement more often than not are made up of social justice warriors, and their behavior documented online is laughable, such like white people who adhere to the white guilt belief.
I'm gonna go get a booster, BRB. I say booster, you say... Nah. Nah.
Not in line. Young people are at risk.
CO19, referring to what should not be named, is Darkwing and Jamie largely joking about people taking booster shots, propping themselves up with just an overkill amount of CO19 shots. I also believe that they have their own share of criticism against the vaccines, such as the side effects not being negligent enough, but this is a matter of debate. When Darkwinjax plays these two champions, it is largely observed that on Karthus, his teammates will become his enemies by inting or griefing him. On Mundo, however, he is just attributed to losing a lot of this champion, even though he carries. These are kind of similar, but regardless, this has spanned the phrases another Karthus, another team div, and another Mundo, another loss. The history of Darkwinjax's IGNs has a nice amount of symbolism to it that I think is worth it to showcase. Over time, he has had quite a few IGNs, often humorous in nature. The name Darkwinjax has stuck with him long, but the earliest names he has had is Darkwinjax, Bath at the Game, Zarfut, a name with the N-word in it with an A ending, X-Dragon X, I Sup You, This is the Zoo, Simaka, Boycott Trinkets, XX Donkey Master XX. These names were usually made back in 2012, which was a very different environment, so to say, on the internet. And more recent names are Transfluid, Postman Pete, Positive Nancy, which is a play on the nicknames Positive Polly and Negative Nancy combined into Positive Nancy. This kind of explains Darkwind's personality quite well, since deep inside he is attempting to reform by staying positive, but his inherent nature of toxicity comes out at times. Dumbo 8D, Peasant 8D, referring to the prominent community emoticon. However, the nickname of this was changed into N-word Juice Throat Clipper for almost a month until it returned back to Peasant 8D. It is believed that this account was lent to Apocalypse for some time before being returned to Darkwind, although the account has not been touched for 4 years now. Yumi, referring to his frequent and perhaps love for playing Yumi and while chilling. Maniac Martin, Dr. Poop, Takbir, a reference to the common Islamic saying of Takbir, a common call for prayer. Often the words God is great in Arabic is uttered after saying Takbir. Minifard, Emotional Loser, a common catchphrase by Darkwinjax when arguing with someone, often used against a person. He also would describe that to himself when victimizing himself, but that's mostly done in a humorous setting, or rather trying to be funny for the stream. Mamma Mia, Boycott Flame, his activist movement or belief rather that one should snot flame. Uvu Papa, probably a name that spins off the famous song from Stromae, Papa Ute. Captain Feeder, Scooby Dooby Doo, Patito Patonto, Toxic Free, free from toxicity obviously, Big Black Bobby, I don't know why talk. Parkinson Shaker, this refers to how teammates or enemies alike have no hands, or rather shakes their hands while playing a game, which is one possible explanation for why someone would play suboptimally. Sore Creamer, Summoner's Codex, his respectful adherence to the codex obviously. Scenarios Mental, his admiration for the Challenger Yi OTP Scenarios' mentality, which is often regarded as hard work, non-tilt, and do all it takes to win. However, the iconic nickname Stun and Slide is actually not what it's supposed to be, but that is for the next tier down in stage 3. This is a reference to Darkwinjax's music taste. Darkwind doesn't always play music on his stream, however when it is done, it is commonly of French-speaking songs or nasheeds, which are passages of the Quran sung. These French-speaking songs are commonly sung from Stromae like Papa Ute or Gims Est-ce que tu m'aimes, Jalal Hamdoui, Ilan Nesur Nebra, and another song from him named Gulul Mama, Khaled C'est la vie, and other iconic non-French-speaking songs from Darkwind would be Raising My Family and Leve Palestina, Krossa Sionismen. The headset that Darkwinjax wears often make his community meme that he works for McDonald's in the drive-thru section, or that he's a customer support in a call center. Even though we are in the 2020s, he is still rocking this old school early 2000s headsets from your local school computer lab. There was also a point in time where he had a completely ruined headset where it was just dangling from his ear and he still used it widely for some unknown reason, not replacing it for quite some time. Most community members will mean that the duo cube partners are getting abused by Darkwinjax when they get flamed or scrutinized by him, and then they become victimized. However, it is important to note that everyone with duos with Darkwind are doing so willingly. The best method that Darkwinjax uses to go down in weight is the water fasting method. This involves abstaining from food for a few days and just drinking water with electrolytes. It is a way to rapidly go down in weight and detox from sugar, but it is often advised against by professional doctors. Darwin would use this method every so often for a period of time. It also helps him to prepare or practice, so to say, for Ramadan. Jeffrey Lynn, otherwise known as Riot Light or Mr. PhD, was the lead designer of social systems in Riot Games. He was widely hated within the League community around 2014 to 2015. Light was seen as being destructive to League because of his decisions. He made the tribunal system, which was Riot's attempt to reduce the staff to manually review reports on player behavior. This system ended up not working though. I mean, what can you expect of an audience that is predominantly 15 to 16 years old at the time? There was also an incentive to get in-game currency if you had a high voting accuracy, but most people eventually realized that if everyone votes yes, then it is a quick way to earn that currency. Riot Light also made the honor system, which encouraged good behavior, but this lacked good rewards and thus was a failure. With the honor and tribunal system being failures, Riot Light came up with chat restriction and rank restriction to help make automated systems to punish toxic behaviors. They were initially terrible ideas. Ideally one would ban players, but Riot really didn't want players to leave their games. They only wanted them them to restrict it, but keep playing the game. That is how they earn money after all. Ranked restriction that was imposed on players would have to play and win a certain amount of normal games before playing ranked again. This created a toxic environment, as highly competitive and toxic players were now mixed with casual players that avoid ranked entirely. Chat restriction hindered players from communicating, and this was at a point where pings were not as advanced as they are now. Instead of actually punishing players, Riot put it on the player base to deal with toxic players, as they had to work around the lack of communication and the mixing with casual players. Riot Games also announced that they would keep the end of season rewards from toxic players, which there was an uproar over, and the reason for that uproar is because the system back then was just so absolutely shit with a lot of false positives, and the report list back then, you know, the reasons for why you can report someone, were also quite big, such as reporting someone for being an unskilled player. Essentially, this created a report culture we have today in League. The one thing that most people hated was dynamic queue though, which allowed players solo queue to play as 5 premates, defeating the purpose of solo queue. This dynamic queue concept was introduced to ease the toxic nature of games by ensuring players had better defined roles in game. Now, Riot Light's infamous legacy is quite extensive and honestly deserves a video of its own, but in relevance to Darkwinjax, he probably dislikes Riot Light because of aforementioned reasons that most likely affected Darkwin, as he writes on his Twitch About Me page, "Disclaimer, I accept donations from every person except Riot Light, and if you do not support Dynamic Q nor work for Riot, feel free to donate." Darkwinjax has a fan page dedicated to him on Facebook that is quite literally a time capsule. There are many memes and screenshots of Darkwin's conduct back in 2013, and this meme page are just meme pictures of Darkwinjax when he was a teenager. This page went inactive ever since November of 2014. It is mainly just memes discussing his permanent suspensions and screenshots like him flaming his teammates. I believe this was operated by a community member named Mr. Feeder. Stage 3 introduces you to incidents and information that is not readily available and often obscure, and also explores Darkwinjax on a more philosophical level. Diamond Elo is a reference to Darkwing being primarily playing in the Diamond Elo. Often people will suggest that he is stuck, but Darkwinjax's counter to that is saying that he is stuck by choice. This Elo is hell on earth, but Darkwinjax is nonetheless the master of this Elo after having played thousands of games in Diamond. He knows the Elo inside out, so much so that he even knows the structure of the psychological nature of a Diamond player. Brohan is a person you either love or hate. Brohan is an extremely energetic person, and this often causes people to find him either annoying or funny. There is no really in between here. Initially, Brohan was a Diamond hardstuck player, and he would find his way to playing with Darkwinjax eventually. During their duos together, Darkwing would often sway to the side of being annoyed by Brohan because of his energetic personality. This dynamic was often found humorous to the community of Darkwing, and thus Brohan was an iconic duo during the time. The duo was short-lived, however, but it is also interesting to note that Brohan eventually managed to reach Challenger, and even at one point getting 3 accounts all in Challenger. This happened after having played with Darkwinjax and getting quote coached by him. Some people from the Darkwinjax community believes that Darkwing helped him see the light, and Brohan at some point in time also believed a similar thought.
Brohan, for example, he went from D1 to Chal in one season after I gave him a reality check, and he was like, "Thank you, bro."
You find me like a plat player with like 2k games.
Team Solo Memdi was an European amateur esports team consisting of Yamato Cannon, Jensen, Nuke Duck, Inner Flame, Weevil Failer, Raytech, and as well as Darkwinjax. The name of the team was a spin-off on the popular North American team Team Solo Mid, and rather using Mid, they used the last name of Yamato Cannon, Mebdi. This was a contending team that was attempting to get into the EU LCS back in 2013 and had won the qualifiers for ESL, and thus were supposed to play in the offline qualifiers. This meant that they had to meet up at a LAN event to play. In an Eldritch Old interview with Yamato Cannon, he said that he feared no team for that offline qualifier and mentioned that there was a 110% chance that they would win.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I don't fear any team at all.
Really?
No team. After I saw Katowice, I generally don't fear any team, so I'm pretty really 100% sure we're gonna qualify.
And to be honest, that was a fair opinion to have, as Team Mebdi had really good results at the time. They had 4th seed, meaning that they would face Elo Hell in the first round and then likely MIM in the second round. The tournament history of Team Mebdi shows that they won the last 3 tournaments versus MIM, which was at the 4PL monthly finals and the IEM Sao Paulo qualifier. They also had a favorable win ratios against top tier teams at the time. It was lucky that they got the spot for the offline qualifiers though, as in their online qualifiers, they ended second place, and there was only going to be one team continuing on. However, the first place takers were too young to play in the offline qualifiers, so Team Solo Mebdi got the slot. So in preparation for their offline qualifiers, they had a boot camp, and while boot camping, they worked intensively at their craft to get a chance to enter the EULCS. Yamato Cannon recalls a story while at this boot camp.
Guitar Hero in the other room, and all of a sudden Jensen is coming to me. He's like, dude, you have to come. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I was like, you're trolling me, right? What's happening? And I entered the room, and he's like, dude, look, we're banned. And I'm like, what? You know, and I get so angry because, you know what they did? So Darkwinjax and Jensen, they logged in on their banned accounts on every screen, so it looked like everyone just got permabanned. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, I just instantly reacted, you know, because I was pissed. I was really pissed, and I was like, what did you guys do? I was about to punch something, you know? And then Darkwinjax just begins to laugh. You know, he begins to laugh in this fashion. I'm like, what is up? He's like, we were trolling you.
This was a sad foreshadowing to come, but they eventually set out to travel to the offline qualifier, and when they got to the airport, they got messages from Riot via Skype that they had been disqualified. This made the team extremely confused, but they later found out that Raytek, Jensen, and Darkwinjax had been permanently banned from League of Legends, and thus Team Solo Mebdi was disqualified from the qualifier. This news came out of the blue from Team Solo Mebdi's perspective, as they reportedly had stated in interviews that Riot knew of their toxicity and had greenlit their participation in the offline qualifier multiple times. They had also complied with all Riot requests to refrain from toxicity, so when the message of them getting disqualified due to toxicity was relayed to them, it came as a shock. The story of Team Mebdi is quite long and also deserves a video of its own. However, it is an interesting thought to see what would happen if Team Solo Mebdi qualified for the ULCS back then. I mean, would Darkwinjax perhaps be a pro player nowadays? The team promptly disbanded after the disqualification and banning of their 3 players. They all went kind of their different ways, and Yamato Cannon later became a pro coach, and Jensen also walked a similar path despite his ban. During Darkwinjax's entire history of his duo partners, many of them have opted to stop playing with him for various reasons. This could be for flame, falling out of touch, arguments, and you know, the list goes on. Most duo partners are intimidated by the flame from Darkwinjax and opt to not duo with him anymore. Some make him angry, whereas he opts to not duo with them. There is one guy though who has preserved mostly when duoing with Darkwinjax, Hazmat. He has of course been subjected to intense flame before, but when this happens, he usually stays humble, drops the ego, and admits his mistakes. At other times, he just laughs off the flame since he finds it genuinely funny rather than taking it personally. After all, it is just a game. Darkwin realizes this as well, which is why he doesn't harbor any ill will against the people he duos with on a personal level. As such, Hazmat has arguably maintained himself as the longest standing duo of Darkwinjax. This all came to an end, of course, which is shortly explained in the exclamation never duo command. Exclamation point never duo is commanded in Darkwin's Twitch chat that will give you the response Hazmat followed by 2 monkey emoticons. Hazmat had frequently duo queued with Darkwinjax, and upon one point in 2022, Darkwinjax had said he would never duo with Hazmat.
But you're one of the most disgusting people I know, actually. Why did you not listen to me? There is no excuse. I've lost respect.
Wait, what? Wait, sorry, can you say that again? What?
Fuck it. You guys know why I kicked him? Because he promised that he would like listen to every single call. He promised that he would listen to every call. He promised he would listen to every single call, and then he goes on the guy and will lose Nash because of it. And I wanted him to stay on Renekton because Renekton has no TP, so he's always going to be close to Nash. If I ever play with Hazmat ever again in my life, you guys can call me whatever you want. I'm never ever playing with that guy again, and that's a promise. I will never play with him in my life. Ever again.
This was later reneged upon, but revisited in 2024 during another incident with Hazmat. The incident was regarding a game state that was winning, and both Hazmat and Darkwinjax had invaded the enemy jungler. Hazmat wanted to recall because he had done a slow push that was bouncing back to him. However, Darkwin commanded Hazmat to go mid to gank with him, but Hazmat outright refused. Darkwin viewed this as being egoed by Hazmat and vowed to his religion that he would never duel with Hazmat again. Thus, the meme was produced by the community. The iconic name Stunned and Slayed is a long-standing nickname used by Darkwinjax, especially in the early days of his career, and it is also infamously known because of its toxicity. But how this name came to be was a dictation from Riot Games. You see, the original name was actually Stunned and Graped, but Riot changed it because it was obviously inappropriate. The Mundo Pit Scam refers to a tournament that was hosted by Darkwinjax. It involves the famous Mundo 1v1 method, where each player plays Mundo and makes a line in the Baron Pit, and you are only allowed to kill each other by using his Q. When this tournament was finished, a guy was supposed to win $20. However, Darkwinjax, for unknown reasons, never paid him the amount. This amount was later covered by another prominent community member by the name of Darley, or Government Slave. Darkwinjax has analyzed people quite well while playing League of Legends, being able to explain his teammates and enemies' psychological reactions and actions. He is able to engage in a psychological warfare on a high level, such as doing the one-trick comment in lobby chat that we explored earlier, or when getting a pentakill he just recalls to show dominance to his teammates and flex power to his enemies. You'll find him often complaining about players in League, whether it be the enemies trying harding too hard or his teammates secretly having an ulterior motive to grief Darkwinjax. All of this is done in a process of rationalizing their behavior. He has also coined several catchphrases that explains phenomena in League, such as ego above elo, indicating that people would rather stick to their ego and lose elo than admit mistakes and gain elo. Flame is lame, but tilt is futile is another catchphrase that explains that flaming is always a lame thing to do, but tilt is futile when playing League, and that is merely due to the intricacies of solo queue. He was, and arguably is, an academic when it comes to talking about the concept of temporary elo, or colloquially known as temp elo, elo terrorism, and the alarming rise of both accounts and how to recognize those accounts. The Sonar strat is a famous strat of Darkwing, which is usually considered soft inting than a real strat. It involves him playing Sona and ganking top lane permanently even at level 1. It is often considered as a mega coin flip strategy, and it is done both in solo queue and duo queue, but when it is done in duo queue it is often considered to be a punishment.
I love Darkwinjax. Mua. E well played. Jungle Gyat.
Capitalism has undoubtedly advanced in the new era of the third millennium since the 20th century, and with advancement comes a new avenues of creativity. Some people in Africa sells congratulation videos as a service to congratulate whoever you want for whatever reason really. And these videos are pretty funny since it's usually of some incredible masculine African guys dancing to a song chosen by an individual. Relevant to this service was also paid for to showcase appreciation of Darkwinjax, which Fat IRL and Silence posted on Twitter. Once upon a time, Silence Don't Give a Fuck, the renowned Yi prodigy and funneler, had duoed with Darkwinjax. While duoing, they were funneling with Darkwing on Jax jungle and Silence playing Taric mid. Darkwinjax had started to flame Silence because he disrespected him. According to Darkwing, he had told him to pick Yi, but Silence said no and rather picked Taric, while they had several dodges. Secondly, Silence had walked from mid to the enemy red in an obvious manner, which consequently telegraphed information to the enemy team that Darkwing intended to invade him. This disrespect was deemed so great that it erupted to a personal level, as Darkwing had said the words, "Inshallah your Ramadan doesn't count."
I tell you to go Yi, you're like, no, I'm gonna play Taric, and then like we have several dodges,
Bro, yes.
and then you like walk from mid to the red, and you're like, yeah, he's not gonna know this.
I did that like twice already, you know, like just a flip he did.
Shut
so
up,
no one's gonna
man, it's so
expect me walking
disgusting.
up.
The excuses I hear, they never see.
No, always the same shit, bro. Bang, we love each other.
Inshallah, your Ramadan is not counted by God, inshallah.
Oh, bro. That's
What?
much,
What?
that's
I
too
mean,
far,
you wanna
bro.
be funny? I'll try to be funny as well.
Bro, that's too far, bro.
Yeah, what do you mean too far?
Astaghfirullah,
I think it's too far what you're doing as well.
That's too far, astaghfirullah.
Inshallah, it doesn't count your whole Ramadan.
Astaghfirullah, bro, I can't say
What do you mean? You're trying to be funny, like on my behalf.
Nah, that's too
then
far,
so-
bro. Astaghfirullah. Yes.
Ya Rab, your whole Ramadan doesn't get counted.
A'udhu billah, stop
Yeah.
saying that, man.
Wallah,
I'm feeling bad
inshallah.
when you say that.
Inshallah,
A'udhu
that's
billah,
what-
just take Astaghfirullah, take it back, man.
Of
That's
course not.
hurting me, Jax Khalid.
I don't want to hurt you. I hope it doesn't count. I hope you did
Yeah,
all
but
of
it hurts me,
this
bro.
work
It
for
hurts
nothing.
me, you know, like
That's
my
all.
inner self, you know what I'm saying? Just a game.
Well, you want to be funny. I'll be funny too. Like wallah,
But
wallah, I
that's
hope
funny
that
when
it
you're saying
doesn't
that's not
count,
funny,
so you
though.
can
Like,
like feel
what's
some pain. Yeah.
Can't say that, bro.
Why not? Why can't
You
I say
shouldn't
it?
it.
Why
No,
can
man,
you
can't.
like?
You can't say it. Listen, you can't.
Why
say
can
it,
you
but
like play Tariq
Listen,
and
you
then they
can't say
ban
it,
me and you
but
don't
shouldn't,
dodge
because that's
and you
just
don't want to
off
play your
limit,
main
bro, off
champ
limit.
and you're
Why
like
would you say
sitting
that
trying
over
to be
game?
funny
It's
with
just
your
a game, you just
comments. So
relax,
inshallah it
just
doesn't
relax, you know what I'm
count.
saying, bro? It's not like bro, it's not like that you're not stuck in back down.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you became a for fun player. It's fine.
Yeah,
Let's
but
play
I
for
even
fun.
told you like in the DMs, no, didn't I not? It's just like for fun, no?
I'm not trying to be funny, so then it's fine if I say it, I guess. The guy's like trying to be funny on my behalf for the stream, and he's pretending he's like a good friend or something.
Stuff up again,
So I mean,
every time we do Q, bro, like
he's just a fake
it's
ass
not like
friend. That's
it's not
all.
like that I asked you to do.
You're
it, you know?
two-faced. That's all.
Oh,
So,
yeah, and I keep
so
on saying
hopefully
that shit, and
your whole
keep on saying
Ramadan
that shit, and then, you know,
doesn't
be like,
count
you know,
for you
like,
because you're
fuck, he's doing it
two-faced.
for fun, you know what I'm saying, and you know, like, oh, blah,
Keep
and
trying to talk
mixing
over me,
religion
it's
into
gonna
that
be
shit,
more
you know what I'm
fun.
saying?
Yeah,
Even
talk
asking
over
me
me,
to
that's
do it, I
really
didn't even
fun.
ask him to do it, you know what I'm saying?
Anyways, I'm leaving the call because I really think you're a fake friend. See ya.
Yes, yeah, bro.
Fucking two-faced loser boy.
And the reason why he said that is because Muslims have to adhere to Ramadan to fulfill the fourth pillar of Islam, Sawm. This includes not eating or drinking during daylight hours throughout the holy month, which we all know, but it also includes abstaining from swearing, lying, fighting and arguing, and sexual activity. Generally abstaining from foul language, arguing, and bad behavior. This drama put a hold on their relationship for a period of time, but eventually their arguments were settled aside, and they became friends again. The Illusanta drama encapsulates all the beef that Illusanta has with Darkwinjax. According to Illusanta, he believes that Darkwinjax entered his game and told him to get cancer, and as well as DDoSed him. Darkwinjax denies and refutes any of the former misdeeds. It is not sure why Illusanta accuses Darkwinjax of DDoSing. There has been zero proof that he even alludes to him being DDoSed by Darkwinjax. Furthermore, no one has ever accused Darkwin of DDoSing anyone to even corroborate such behavior. It is not generally known why this supposed DDoS event happened. The earliest clip found indicates that this happened in 2021 or at least prior to 2021, as Illusanta mentions it in a clip.
Wait. now that see that little spike like there, right there? Guess what that was? That is Darkwinjax trying to win his platinum promos. You see that little spike right there?
However, in December of 2021, Darkwinjax had gone on another reform arc trying to make amends with anyone he has wronged, saying that, "I apologize for any unjust and ill remarks to anyone I've directed in or out of the game." Illusanta was tagged under this thread and had responded to it saying, "What? We are best friends here? There is no beef here." In which Darkwin had responded with, "Yes, I flamed in for the silliest reason. Taken back, we good Mr. Illusanta. Of course, brother." However, it seems like this never was the case, as Illusanta had mentioned this beef once again seemingly out of disdain for Darkwinjax. On the 18th of August 2022, Darkwinjax had once again made a similar post. "Sorry to everyone I flamed/wronged, wasn't nice and unjustified. We turn a new chapter here. Message me if you can make up for it on Discord or Twitter, my man or woman, and I'll try my best. Take care." Illusanta reacted to this tweet on stream, again accusing him of DDoSing him without any proof.
Jesus Christ. This guy told me to get cancer and he DDoSed me. after he entered my game and we were flaming each other, so he DDoSed me and told me to get cancer. I swear, bro.
Darkwin's reaction to this drama has been one of frustration, as at this point Darkwin was a much smaller streamer relative to Illusanta, and he had believed that he had defamed him, as many people, at least from Illusanta's community, would believe that he was a DDoSer. He reportedly also had people come to his stream asking him why he did DDoS, in which he had no answer because he didn't do it. Darkwinjax's community believes that Darkwin could never do that, as he's technologically inept, even failing to do some simple menial changes to his Discord server, like not knowing how to give someone roles. Fast forward to 2023, where Illusanta and Dantes had a massive drama between each other, in which Illusanta, the biggest streamer at the time, was essentially harassing Dantes. There was also a mention of Darkwinjax briefly. Dantes had, in the DMs between Illusanta and him, made a point regarding Darkwin. What do you think it was like for Darkwinjax when you accused him of DDoSing you and never backtracking when you knew you were in the wrong? Illusanta never did respond to that comment. Instead, he crashed out and focused on another point that Dantes made in that conversation. While this Dante's Ilosanta drama was happening, Darkwing had quote tweeted a tweet longer post of Ilosanta victimizing himself, accusing him of being a habitual and pathological liar because he defamed Darkwinjax with the false pretense of DDoSing him, and as well as spinning a lie where Ilosanta had supposedly claimed that Darkwinjax apologized to him in their DMs. Darkwing also had allegedly asked Dantes if he could ask Ilosanta what this was all about, and allegedly Ilosanta's response was that Darkwing was known for DDoSing, which is another point without any basis.
And then he messages Dantes, because Dantes told me, right? This is what Ilosanta said. Darkwing used to be with those DDoSers and he's known for DDoSing. Like, does the guy not realize that I've had so many enemies in my life that if I even DDoSed once and people knew about it, then people would have like completely obliterated me and hated me even more. Like, not even my worst haters accuse me of DDoSing because I didn't DDoS. Like, I don't DDoS, you know.
Yeah, so, like, you wouldn't have these win rates if you DDoS.
So like, no, but like what he did was lying. You know?
It is not known how Ilosanta came to know about this information, but it is possible that this could be a reference to when Darkwinjax was banned with his fellow teammates Raytech and Jensen back in 2013, where Jensen specifically got banned because of alleged DDoSing. However, if this is the basis, then the DDoS activity is associated with the wrong person, as it was allegedly Jensen and not Darkwinjax. It is understandable that this was a frustrating experience to Darkwing, as he would have to prove a negative in this case, which would be quite difficult. Darkwinjax has at some point during his career deleted a lot of history regarding him, probably because he just dislikes his bad side being broadcasted a lot. A lot of funny and iconic moments were deleted and lost to history. Some were retained on YouTube, especially by the iconic Ratchet channel that uploads occasional moments of Darkwinjax flaming his premates. Darkwing would also delete his Discord server at some point due to it being ripe with drama, and he did not want to monitor and moderate it as it was time consuming for him. And in fact, Darkwinjax started streaming on the 1st of June 2019. However, he has been in the league since Season 1, and in fact he had been streaming for way earlier than 2019. Previously, League of Legends players would opt into using the website called Own3D TV, and Darkwinjax was no exception to this, having streamed there at least back in 2012. The website eventually shut down its live streaming service, and that is why he no longer streamed there. This is a theory on the basis that a lot of prominent streamers originate from Darkwinjax, or by being associated with him gained a rapid following subsequent to that. These streamers would often drop Darkwinjax in their life for various reasons. These include Brohan, Spearshot, Dantes, and Deathdirt. This theory is not well regarded though, as one can't point to many people who would even conform to this theory, and even if Darkwinjax just played with them, it wouldn't necessarily necessitate that they gained a following after that. Although this is perhaps the most infamous and common thing one knows about Darkwinjax, it is equally also a grim thing to know Darkwinjax for. During the early days of League, Darkwing was a highly hated figure within the community, often engaging in inflammatory behavior towards fellow players, and as well as anti-Semitic comments. He would have gotten punishments, official warnings, and permabans for multiple years. It was not until his Team Solo Mebdi arc where his legacy would be cemented in the Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame, depending on how you look at it. Team Solo Mebdi's team got disqualified because of 3 of its players being banned: Jensen, Raytech, and of course Darkwinjax. Darkwinjax was cited to be banned because he had fully violated every part of the Summoner's Code. Under his Stunned and Slayed account, he had been suspended by the tribunal system 5 times, and it had a persistent record of in-game harassment, verbal abuse, and other unacceptable behavior, whereas 54% of the reports were for offensive language, verbal abuse, and negative attitude. In 18% of the total matches on the Stunned and Slayed account, he had been reported. Another gameplay history relevant to Darkwinjax was that he had been previously banned on 3 additional accounts, including the quote notorious Darkwinjax account. The Darkwinjax account established the highest harassment score ever recorded on the US server. No player before or since or even after has matched this degree of behavior. In game chat, Darkwinjax had threatened to physically injure players, including a Riot employee. His previous accounts were replete with a very large number of racist and anti-Semitic insults. insults. And lastly, he was reported more than 1,000 times during a 375 game period, which was during February to April of 2012, meaning that for every game he received on average 2.6 reports. Any and all future accounts will be banned on site. Over a decade of League of Legends has gone since then, and no one has ever been given the title of the most toxic League player, not even destroying the record set by Darkwin so far, at least officially. Truly, he is a legend within the League of Legends. Darkwin did not take the suspension lightly though, as he had gone to the forums to protest the ban. He explained that the suspensions of his teammates were unfair. 1 hour before Team Solemebdi's scheduled flight to the Season 3 offline qualifier in Warsaw, Riot informed them that they were not eligible to play due to them being banned. Darkwin's issue was that this decision was not informed to them in a proper time. Riot also supposedly made it very clear that after Team Mebdi qualified, they knew that Stunned and Slayed was Darkwinjax and what he had done in his past. Despite that, Riot allowed him to play in the offline qualifiers if by that point he were to abide by the Summoner's Code and behave properly. They also had apparently informed Team Mebdi a few days prior to the suspensions that they had been monitoring their games and that they were done with the investigations, and they mentioned again, as long as Darkwin behaves properly, he can play. He further accused Riot that their cited reasons that the team's Solemebdi members got banned because of tribunal triggered the bans was entirely fabricated, saying that it was practically impossible that he got banned by the tribunal because after his last ban was issued, which Riot was aware of that time, he completely stopped playing solo queue and normal games, with the exception of a few games where he queued ranked pre-mains or played fully normal premium games. I guess what he's trying to mean here is practice games or scrims. Now, he naturally wanted Riot to cite him with these tribunal cases so we could have a look at them, but they were never provided. After all, Riot had claimed that 3 of the players got simultaneously banned by the tribunal, which he thought was not the case and quite impossible since there were no such cases. In the end though, he respected Riot's decision and stayed off while studying in the university. Riot later introduced a system for people to reform themselves and be unbanned. Darkwin would not complete this until late 2014, about 15 months after his indefinite suspension, where he returned to playing League of Legends. 4 years after the ban, he actively started to tweet about the game again and it would gradually come back to the public eye. This was a popular meme in the League community that was likely invented by Darkwinjax. During this time in League history, transferring to another server region and back was incredibly popular as a form of matchmaking rating or MMR boosting. This is because transferring would reset your MMR, and with a resetted MMR, you can attempt to gain a win streak which would allow you with an incredibly good MMR, allowing you to slingshot glide into higher ranks faster than one normally would. Darkwin would often transfer his accounts during this period and engage in MMR boosting to climb the League ranks effectively. He would often joke with his friends that this time would be the final transfer, only for another transfer to happen shortly after, since he would just lose 1 or 2 of his promotion games. Other jokes regarding this involved Turkish Airlines, as the server they arbitrarily chose was always Turkey, and then instantly transferred back to US. Darkwinjax would also ask friends and acquaintances to lend money to buy the transfer, which amounted to roughly $40 to Turkey and back. The lending money would total up to over $1,000 reportedly, which was all paid back in due time. Dantes was a prominent friend of Darkwinjax during this time and had also engaged frequently in account transferring for the MMR boost. He popularized the meme with his larger following size, and he popularized it so much that it eventually got caught the attention of Riot Games, which started to crack down on this method, eventually patching it entirely and also punishing specifically Dantes for engaging in MMR boosting. In July 28, 2022, Slatters' mental health had rapidly deteriorated due to unknown reasons. He had expressed the intent of silver sliding himself after he had showed an image of a male genitalia on his Twitch channel with words plastered on his title and screen that he doesn't care anymore and that he intends to end it all. His Twitch channel was promptly banned, of course, but this distressing news came quickly to Darkwinjax. Darkwinjax had started a live stream and had assembled a group call on Discord trying to establish the residency of Slatters, inviting anyone who knew of his residency, such as close friends, and also leveraging the livestream to find people who were in contact with him. After finding his real-life address, Darkwinjax's group had managed to also get individuals living in the Czech Republic to call the police to do a wellness check. There were also individuals outside Slatters' residency that reported that they had visual confirmation of the police arriving on the scene, and eventually saw a stretcher and a tourniquet had been seen. They later reported that he was safe, but that his condition was also uncertain, whether it was critical or not. not. He was confirmed later to be alive and transferred to the hospital. A day after, Darkwinjax commented on the Slaughter situation on stream after viewers frequently asked about his condition.
I don't want to talk about Slatlos, it's just that people ask every 2 minutes, right? So maybe like a command would be good. But I'll say it again, it's no problems. Like, he's fine, he ate chicken and rice, he's like in the mental department of the hospital and, you know, the psych ward or whatever. He's fine, we're talking to him. He's okay. He was making a bit of jokes saying I'm in asylum and all that stuff, you know.
This involves going back to Team Mebdi, and this Riot conspiracy thing is actually a mystery we have within the League of Legends community that I noted in one of my earlier videos. If you remember what we previously mentioned, that Darkwinjax accused Riot Games of essentially banning them without cause, well, this accusation actually has some credibility to it. Yamato Cannon had actually corroborated this accusation in a Reddit post which would be his official statement on the bans of his fellow players. Yamato had written that, before heading into this team and making a commitment, I made sure everything would be fine and ensure that my teammates would behave the upcoming months and end in the future because of the upcoming LCS qualifiers. I contacted Riot just to make sure that they would have no issues in the future. I was given somewhat of an ultimatum. Riot was well aware of the past of my players, and they told me if anything that would stand out or if they would get banned once again, they would not be allowed to play in the LCS. This was feared to Yamato Cannon, and he mentioned that they stood by those rules set by Riot. Riot had also sent what Yamato Cannon says is an ultimatum in mid-December of 2013, essentially saying the words behave or it is over. Yamato Cannon sat down with his fellow teammates and they all realized how important it was just to go by the rules that had been set. Team Mebdi thus committed to behave 100% in solo queue. According to him and Darkwinjax's own post, Darkwin had completely stopped playing anything but team games just to make sure he wouldn't get randomly reported by people that have hate towards him. By team games, I'm guessing they mean scrims or practice games. We Will Failure also went to his Facebook page and made his own statement regarding the bans in a way more comprehensive accounting. He agreed that they had done stuff in the past that may have warranted a ban. However, Riot had made a clear ruling about the Season 3 offline qualifier. If you from this point on have toxic behavior, get reported or get permabanned, you are out. According to We Will Failure, Darkwing had not played solo queue for 3 months. Jensen reportedly typed a single time in chat after having duo queued We Will Failure all the time, and Raytech did not have the guts to even talk in any of the games. We Will Failure also said that they had asked Riot multiple times if they are also getting punished, but Riot said no, just keep up the good behavior. 3 days before the event, Riot had given the OK signal once again. When there were 2 days left, Riot confirmed that they were going to the event and they shouldn't do anything toxic. When there was 1 day left, Riot Abhorsen had discussed with them on how they would get picked up and the hotels and so on. He reportedly wrote, "See you at the event." 1 hour after the fact that Riot met Marco said that they are banned and you are not allowed to go to the hotel or the venue. We Will Failure thought that they were getting massively trolled by Riot at this point, and it comes with a fairly accurate speculation. The only thing I can come up with is that they just don't want a team with a bad past to win. Is this true that they would disqualify a team which just had too much chance to win but has a bad past? You just have to figure that out for yourself. Yamato Cannon had also corroborated most of these events in his Reddit post about Riot communicating with them within those 3 days before the bans. However, on the day to catch their early flight to Warsaw, Poland, they had to wake up at 3 AM and an acquaintance drove them there. It was about a 300 kilometers drive. Once they checked in, they were contacted by Riot and said it was urgent. Apparently, they were disqualified from the tournament because 3 of their players had been banned. Yamato was naturally upset about this and talked with Riot for about 2 hours on the phone, and the only answer they gave was refer to the post on the forums. When Yamato mentioned the ultimatum, their response was, "Tribunal had triggered some negativity on our players," meaning that they had been toxic. Yamato Cannon asked to see the tribunal cases, but sadly he wasn't allowed to view them since it was classified information that I nor the public has access to. Vizik, or Jensen rather, had commented on Darkwinjax's apology on Reddit, saying that Riot told us when we were about to border for Poland that we were suspended due to the tribunal ban. We asked them for 30 minutes talking with 3 writers for the tribunal cases, and they said they couldn't review the cases yet. We all checked our emails at that point to see if we were banned. We didn't get anything, and we weren't weren't able to log on to LoL to check if we were banned. However, Jensen also noticed something suspicious. When they got home, they got an email saying they were permanently banned, but that was without any tribunal case attached to it. The suspicious part is that the accounts in question that got banned, Stunner Slade, VeGodX, Raytech, had still honor levels on their accounts, and when you are punished by the tribunal, your honor would get reset. This would somewhat indicate that Riot had personally just wanted them banned rather than tribunal doing it, effectively saying no last minute after giving the go signal multiple times prior to Team Mebdi. Both of these accounts by Jensen and Cannon were also corroborated by Darkwin, which raised this as a point and even further accused Riot of essentially banning them without cause, as there were no tribunal cases. What is highly suspicious is that the tribunal found 3 of the players toxic and must have banned all of them on the same day, which sounds highly improbable as this is a community run system. You see, when an eligible player is logged into the tribunal, they are assigned a case to review. Each case involves a summoner who was reported for any number of reasons on multiple occasions. The summoner reviewing the case was given chat logs, game statistics, and report details to help them decide if the offending summoner should be punished or pardoned. A summoner could also skip a case if they're unsure or uncomfortable choosing a verdict. In the FAQ of the tribunal, it was written that we are deliberately keeping the specific number of punishment votes required for disciplinary actions a secret. However, in the interest of fairness, players must be subjected to an overwhelming majority of guilty votes to undergo punishment. This would follow that every single one of those players within less than 24 hours of Riot's confirmation that they were going to the offline event had fulfilled the numbers of votes that triggered a suspension. Furthermore, the excuse that Riot couldn't provide the specific tribunal cases was also highly suspicious. The tribunal, after all, is an invite-only forum that one could consider somewhat public. Cases are provided randomly to an eligible player, but to get eligible in the first place, one has to only be level 20 and not currently banned. It would be suspicious to say the least if Riot were not to provide these cases to would-be professional players, considering how easily one could theoretically access tribunal cases. Them being classified to such secrecy is suspicious at best and conspiratorial at worst. Richard Lewis, an esports journalist, discussed the ban regarding Jensen months later in an article featured on .esports. In this article, he would say that there has been a lot of misinformation spread about Jensen's initial ban. When the permanent ban was issued by Riot in January 2013, it wasn't just based on the number of reports the player had received, which were significant enough to seem punished on 3 occasions, but also the matter of DDoSing other players in the highest elo bracket. Under a section headed as Facts, Riot's ruling stated, on multiple occasions he had publicly and unapologetically admitted to engaging in a series of DDoS attacks against high elo players. The wording of this is significant. Riot does not claim it as evidence he orchestrated DDoS attack against players. DDoS attacks are rarely perpetuated with the attacker's PC, and tracing them can be difficult. Instead, Jensen had been penalized for simply saying that he has DDoS people, which isn't necessarily proof that he did. It is, however, hard to argue for him when quotes such as this can still be found on the World of Warcraft forums like arenajunkies.com, despite Jensen's best efforts to delete every trace of them from the internet. Riot is so full of shit and a worse company than Blizzard. I indeed DDoSed the player Youngbuck a lot of times, due to hatred, but I also stopped. When we were qualified to Season 3 and I got permabanned on that account for DDoSing him, so I already seen my punishment. Subsequently, Jensen had denied that he ever DDoSed anyone and that these admissions were made to preserve some sort of the 1337 mystique about his capabilities. What we can determine is whether the attacks took place in the first place. All Riot have provided to this end is a single screenshot, one that shows Jensen posting a geolocation of an IP address that was obtained through Skype. It's worth noting that the IP he had grabbed is based in the Netherlands, where the alleged target Joey Youngbuck's Stelton pool is from. This, of course, doesn't prove that he did anything with the address. It is very easy to grab this information through Skype, which is why the bulk of Riot's guide to DDoS protection focuses on the chat program. Jensen has sent formal appeals against the ruling and asked for evidence of his DDoSing activity. Riot has never been forthcoming, and the reason? The sum total of its evidence revolves around screenshots of Jensen's own boasting. Here's what one of the allegedly affected players recently told me. His biggest problem was that he was always bragging about what he did. All it takes is a screenshot sent to Riot and you're obviously going to be in trouble. He publicly admitted to DDoSing Youngbuck, I think, but he had claimed that he had done it to others and Riot obviously believed that he did. Certainly, Youngbuck wasn't the only pro who complained about him. This alt makes it hard for anyone to really come out and champion Jensen publicly, especially when he has done a solid job of incriminating himself. The more I learned about the situation, the more I have to come to feel that the ruling is problematic and it was most likely based on secondhand information, screenshots and chat logs. These are are all fine for securing a conviction in the court of public opinion. However, I do believe that when you're going to make a decision that will invariably affect someone's livelihood and reputation, you have to be absolutely certain it is going to be more than a gut call. Based on the evidence that I am aware of, I'm not sure how Riot can be so certain. Essentially, Richard is arguing that there is no sufficient proof. The IP address that Jensen would have posted could just be a random IP address, as there were no secret that Youngbuck was from the Netherlands. In an interview Jensen had in 2013, he stated that I was banned because of toxicity and rumor details. However, this never actually occurred. I simply linked an IP to entice people. When making such big decisions about players, one should adhere to the beyond reasonable doubt principle, which wasn't done in this case, and Jensen on multiple occasions said that he didn't DDoS Youngbuck. It could be that Riot just plastered this on their rulings, and after all, the community reception to these rulings were highly positive. I mean, these were notorious toxic players after all, and getting them banned was a welcome thing. To this day though, it still remains a mystery. However, most members from Team Mebdi believe that this mystery has a crystal clear answer behind it. Riot wanted to make an example out of Team Mebdi, sending a ripple effect messages to other prospective teams and players alike.